What is up, everyone? You are about to listen to episode number 4. That's right, number 4 of the Third Floor Chronicles. This episode was conducted April 5th at the Comedy Condo with Al Jackson, who is a real funny, cool guy. So check it out. When did you make the transition from being a funny person to doing open mics?
To doing open mics. I mean, that's a weird thing, man. I mean, honestly, man, I was just a teacher, and I wanted something to do at night, and I always like stand-up, so I was like, let me see what's up. And I remember the first time I ever went, like, to go to an open mic, like, I got some out of, like, the Miami New Times, and it was an open mic at the top of this old hotel, and I got to the top, and there was nobody there, and, like, there's this one bartender cleaning, like, glasses, and I was like, I'm here for the open mic, and the guy was like, yo, that open mic's been canceled for, like, 3 years. So, like, I was so, like, relieved. Like, I was like, well, I tried. Like, I went, you know what I'm saying?
You didn't tell him it took you 3 years to get there?
No, I mean, like honestly, I was, you know, that was, like, the first time I ever tried to go to one. So, I was like, I was nervous. So, the fact that I didn't have to do it that night, I felt relieved. So, that next week, I found another one, and it was at this Irish pub in Hollywood, Florida. And I remember because all the streets were named after old presidents. And this is on Jameson Street. And I remember going like, oh, this joint's going to be canceled, just like the other one, blah, blah, blah. And I pulled up and like straight out of a movie, I swear to God, like there was a parallel parking spot in front of the big window where I parked. And it was just, I looked and the bar was packed. And there was a dude doing stand-up on the stage, like, because his back was turned to the window. And I was like, oh, yo, like if I don't go in there, like I'm going to know I punked out.
Well, how much time did you have prepared?
Like, I would say, like, probably in actual real time, I probably had, like, 2 minutes of, like, you know, drug side effect jokes. And what's up with the diarrhea with the, you know, those kind of jokes.
Well, let me ask you a question. How long did you prepare for that first open mic?
Well, there was no preparedness for it because, like, I mean, I meet guys that are in stand-up and are professional entertainers, and they were like, I went to an arts and crafts high school, or I did theater in college, or I had done plays or middle school plays. The first time I got on stage was the first time I had ever been on stage in my life. Like, there was no, I didn't do Oklahoma or The Wiz or something, you know what I'm saying?
The Wiz on Ice?
I just stood up in front of people like, yo, I got some dumb jokes. Listen to them. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't think that I knew how to prepare. I just went up.
Tell us about the first experience. How was it?
The first experience I felt went well, and I felt like it went a little bit too well, where I wouldn't say I got cocky, but I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to do this every time and it'll be cool. And the next week it wasn't so packed and it wasn't so good, and the jokes didn't go over. So it showed me right there, I was like, yo, I'm going to have to, if I want to do this kind of like, at least for fun, you know, I'm going to have to figure out a way where I can entertain people, because there's nothing worse than seeing people that are bored. That hurts. That hurts worse than booing. Booing is an emotion. You know what I'm saying?
When you lose the eye contact.
Yeah.
When they're so bored they can't look at you.
Yes.
That's a bad feeling.
Yeah. That's almost like where you're like, I don't want them to drive home after this. It's like taking an Ambien. Like, I don't want to be the cause of 26 deaths after my show.
In the beginning, how often were you doing open mics? Like, in a weekly basis, how many would you hit?
I mean, we were hustling. I mean, I had a strange experience where I didn't do comedy clubs for, about a year into doing stand-up. So I was doing, we were doing between probably 2 and 5 bars a week. And we were hitting them all up and down Florida, East and West Coast, and in Central Florida. And it's weird. I mean, it was nothing to us where, we all had day jobs. Tuesday night, go do an open mic, 5 minutes. 3.5 hours one way, 3.5 hours right back.
For 3 minutes, yeah.
Literally 3 to 6 minutes, and go to work the next day, and that's what it was, and it was life. That was life for years.
What was your writing process back then?
Getting drunk. There's a lot of that, and then figuring out what was working, and then figuring out that getting drunk isn't the key to writing good jokes, and then trying to come down from that. But no, man, we were writing, we were just all funny guys. Like, we just had day jobs. Like, I was a teacher. One of my boys worked for Carnival. He's an electrician there at the main building. Cass had worked, like not longshoremen, but guys like worked like with their hands, like with wood and other man shit that I don't know about.
Are any of them still performing?
Yeah, man. Two of my boys, two guys, John Vargas and Andy Perez from Miami. They just moved up to New York. Forrest Shaw down there in Miami. He used to be a biologist down there. I knew him when he had a day job. Now he's a full-time comic. I used to be a public school teacher down in Miami. I'm a full-time comic. So cats are coming to Miami and like professionals now, which is crazy because that never happened before.
When was the first time you did so well on stage where you knew you could keep pursuing it?
The first time I did really well.
To the point where you didn't do good, you did great.
I think this is going to sound really crazy, but I feel like it was backwards for me, where this shouldn't have been the first time I did really well. But the first time I did really well was when I did an open mic at a comedy club, which doesn't mean that I was good the first time I ever did open mic. Means I was good with the first time I ever did an open mic at a comedy club. Because, like I said, like for the first year, I was so naive to the business, or like that you could even make money doing stand-up, that like I never went to a comedy club because I thought they just booked like Damon Wayans, and famous dudes. So I was like, I'm not even going there. So like what I would do is I just did bars. So I got really good at bars where like people were playing pool, people were playing video poker, people were dancing, women are on the phone and, smoking cigarettes right next to you and the waitress and no one gives a fuck and people having a bachelor party. So it's like I got so used to doing environments like that. When I first did a comedy club and people were seated and like facing, I was like, this is the easiest shit ever. Like this is cool. So that's like the first time I did a comedy club, I felt like because I didn't come up the traditional way of like starting in the comedy club, it was a different vibe because I knew guys like I knew open micers that had never done one show, and I would meet them at open mic and I'd be like, yo, how many people you got? Oh, I got 85 people here. I'm like, you got 85 people to see you do comedy the first time in your life? That's some balls, son.
That is the biggest regret you'll ever make in your life.
That is crazy. You're gonna bomb and you gotta go to work tomorrow and be like, what's up, dog? What did you do last night? You saw me bomb in front of 300 people at the Improv.
One of the best feelings a comic can have is redeeming yourself from those first bombings that they see you.
Straight up, people say you bomb.
Oh, this is what you're working on? Oh, okay.
I would never. I don't know how cats do that, man. I feel like my mom probably didn't even see me perform until, like, I've been doing it 2 years. Now granted, I had been, down south and I went on a couple small tours. But by the time I hit Cleveland, like I was already at the feature level, like the low level feature, but I could already carry 25 minutes strong.
Well, that's a good segue. When did you start featuring? Like as far as years into your comedy, when did you start featuring?
I've only been in it 7 years, then I kind of got an accelerated start because, like I said, I did the bars for a while, and then I was the house MC for a lot of the South Florida improvs. And when you're the house MC, like it helps you because you can get a lot of different material pretty quickly. And then right after that, I randomly won the Carnival Cruise Line contest. So I went on the cruise ships, which is embarrassing, but I made loot. And what it does is it forces you to get your time up. You know what I'm saying? Because when you get on them joints, like you're the only comic. So you got to do a 15-minute clean show and a 30 to 35-minute dirty show of totally different material. So that's like 50 minutes. And when you're a young dude like I was probably 3.5 years in the business, like 50 minutes of good stuff and clean stuff that works. So my first couple of cruises were rough. I didn't have enough stuff, but it helped me get my time up. So when I finally came back to the States, like probably 5 years into the business, I had a strong 60. A strong 60 when I came back and I re-hit New York. You know what I'm saying? That's when like all the stuff like the Live at the Gotham started happening. Some of the TV stuff started popping because I feel like I had been on the cruise ships for like a year and I disappeared from the scene. But when I came back,
well, let me ask you a question.
I had some time under my belt.
No, that's when you won the opportunity to go on the cruise. How long was that gig?
It was like a weird thing because I didn't hit them up because I get to this day I got seasick, so I didn't hit them up for. I mean, I won that contest and literally I didn't take that up for probably like 6 to 8 months.
Oh, okay.
And they called me, one of the bookers, her name is Virginia. She's really nice. And she was like, yo, do you ever want to work a cruise? And I was like, because that was part of the contest winnings. You got like $500 or something else. But like that was the main thing is you got to work on the cruise ships. But I never I think they were like, why did the winner never call us to work? You know what I'm saying? And it was because like I was like, I'm going to get seasick. So I was like, there's no way I'm going to do it. When they told me what the cruises pay today, I was like, I'll do it. You know what I'm saying? And being a cruise ship comic is not ideal. And I knew that even that early in the business. But honestly, that money helped bridge the void that is going from open mic and to being a professional.
Well, how did the gig itself work? How long were you on the cruise ship?
What I mean, like when you do a gig, what you do is you fly in. Like they'll fly you in from whatever city. So let's say, like when I was living in Miami, they would call me. They'd be like, "Yo, you're gonna get on the Carnival Ecstasy. You go down to the port. So you get on a Monday. You get on Monday night. You do your family show that sucked. You know what I'm saying? It's like 15 minutes. Like 9-year-olds in the audience. It's embarrassing as fuck. You know, it's like the.
Oh, so you're no applause breaks?
No, it's not. No, the crowds are fine, but it's like, it's just like right before you go out, like the Carnival. And I'm not trying to insult them; they were fine, but it was just like, it's so like they're so like over the top, like fun. It's almost condescending, where it's like fun,
Oh,
like and just
like it's forced a little
yeah,
bit?
and it's just like, yo, would y'all stop? And it's like somebody with a Carnival cruise head hat, like walking around. You're just like, I don't want to be part of this, and you're like, this is not what you envisioned your comedy club your career to be. You know what I'm saying? So like that was bad, but when you do your late show, the good thing about the late show is like honestly when you do like a cruise ship late show at like midnight, straight up, the only people that are at that show, because those cruises hold like 5,500 people, so there's like 700-800 people there, like young people that are there with their parents, and their parents are sleeping in the room. They can finally get drunk that night. You know what I'm saying? Three like brothers that are just like on a cruise, they family, and they're just like, yo, our parents went to sleep. So the late show on a cruise ship at midnight is super loose. Super loose, because they go straight from the like your comedy club, and then they go to the nightclub, and like it's usually people's last night on the cruise. People, listen, dog. You don't really even understand how drunk human beings get till you work on cruise ships. People get like fall over the side of the boat crew. Like that's how real it is. Like they get crazy drunk. So it's just like, I mean, just going up and seeing like the line of drunks waiting for that 24-hour pizza. Like if you could break a video camera out for that, those MFers, dog. I'm telling you, dog. So it's just
well,
like.
Hold on. Let me ask you a question. Did you headline first on the cruise ship, or were you already headlining before the cruise ship?
No, that was the first time I ever really headlined. I never really put that together. But
so did you headline immediately after you came back?
No. Oh, hell no. When you come back, I mean, you got to understand, that's what happens to a lot of guys, and that's why like it kind of helped me out that I stopped doing the cruises, because I always tell people, like, and again, this isn't an insult to cruise ship comics. I don't know who's listening. Look, man, you do your hustle, you make your money. I'm not mad. But if you decide, this is what you got to understand. If you decide to be a comedian on a cruise ship forever, for life, what you're essentially saying is, I want to make steady money. I know I'm not going to be famous, but you're going to stay with some, you're going to have a nice life. You're going to be in the islands most of your life. You're not going to work a day in your life, and you're going to make good money. That's what it is. But you get old out there. Your act gets old. Your act gets stale. You're away from the United States. You don't know what's going on. You don't you've been in the islands while, people in Detroit are fucking struggling, and fucking you didn't know that there was a minor riot and over a Tea Party shit in Boston. Like, you lose shit what's going on in the States because you don't have, you have access, obviously, to the internet, but it's
you're
not
out of touch.
You're out of touch, man. And so when your act comes back and you've been doing that shit for years, you come back and you're an older comic. You know what I'm saying? And you don't know how comedy's going on. You don't know what's going on with it. So it's kind of like that. And you can see it where, I see older guys that got polished jokes, but, you got to remember, if you're a 50-year-old comic, you talking to cats that are 26. You know what I'm saying? They're like, whatever, old man, you talking about some Bill Clinton jokes. It's over. People don't care. They'll tune out very quickly.
When was the first time you worked with someone that you were a fan of?
My first, I hosted for Tracy Morgan. He's like one of the I wasn't even a fan of him. I just like my second time ever hosting at the Miami Improv. It was for Tracy Morgan. He's a wild boy. This is for the Improv, so I'll leave it at that. It's like never to be told on this podcast.
Nice. Well, I'm sure Tracy Morgan will be happy.
Yes, he's a good dude.
What was the biggest venue you played first?
My first big one, like that I thought was big, was like I did. I opened up for like the old school R&B tour in West Palm Beach at the amphitheater there. Like Keith Sweat and like all those cats were on that show. And when I opened up, when I went out there was 4,000 people. And I opened up for Anita Baker one time at the Hard Rock Live, and there were 7,000.
Well, were they receptive to you? Did they want you to hurry up and get off so they could watch their performer? How did that go?
No, because the thing is, I always feel like whether even if you're obviously not the headliner at a huge venue like that, the fact that you get the mic, especially when you get the mic first, because it's been quiet in that amphitheater for a while. If you come in there, and I feel like I'm just naturally used to like my voice being the loudest voice, so I take that mic. I'm like, "What's up, dog? We're gonna have a good time in here this bitch tonight." You know what I'm saying? I feel like if I can get your attention for 10 seconds, I feel like we'll be all right. You know what I'm saying?
How much? Tell the fans what was the pay scale like?
The fans. Listen, listen
up. That's who's listening.
They got fans of yours. I wish I had more fans. The pay gets better and better. You stop worrying about certain things. Certain things will always be an issue. You know what I'm saying? I still am trying to pay off my student loans. Shit. I don't even use my degree. Shit. But, you know what I'm saying? Like, other than that, like, the money gets better. And, for real, I feel like it should get better.
Let's backtrack a little bit. How good did you feel the first time you got paid? Even on a small, like an MC scale?
No, that's a great question, man. I remember I got, this is a random memory. I did a gig for in Fort Lauderdale. There was a bar, that I don't know, like it just like, it was very cool to any kind of alternative lifestyles. And there was like, they had like some kind of like, I don't know, soccer championship or some shit like that. I don't know what the fuck was going on, but it was like some freaky shit. And they called me and they were like, "Yo, we're going to be partying and just do some comedy." And I've been doing bars. So like usually I got like a bar tab and like a couple burgers or whatever. And I got paid $300 to do that gig that I wasn't expecting. And just the concept of like somebody giving me money to do comedy was just, I couldn't even really, wrap my head around it. And then the first time I did a road gig and they gave me a hotel, which is a Red Roof Inn, and I walked in and there was a condom in the trash can and a log in the toilet. How real is that? And a crack in the window, like. And
you were smiling while you were looking at that log. Too.
Yo, like I know that toilet. Was like I didn't say anything, and it was just like I really couldn't believe that, and that is 100% true. That was in Melbourne, Florida. I'll never forget. Like I couldn't believe that people gave you money and put you up to do comedy. Like because I didn't even understand how the economics work, that people would pay to see comedy so that they could pay us. I thought that we were like doing them a favor. Like, do you mind if I get up here and do this? So it's just like, it's just so, I call it naive. It's definitely being naive, but I think that helped me just enjoy coming up and learning the craft instead of like being like a younger dude that's kind of like, why haven't I gotten Letterman yet? Why haven't I gotten Montreal yet? I didn't even know those things existed, or that you could do those things. So, like, I just enjoyed doing comedy, and I felt like it helped me come up. Now it's, I'm as bad as any comic out there, like, calling my manager, "Where's my shit?"
When and why?
I'm on NBC.
When and why did you make the transition to New York?
I wanted to go to New York because a lot of the comics I respected were there. I felt like it was a rite of passage. I didn't feel like there's any way that you could go, that you could be a professional comic and not have gone through New York. I couldn't imagine a scenario in which that how does that happen? I guess if you come straight out of LA, but you spent a chunk of time in New York, and the thing is, more than I realize now, because I'm starting to go back and forth. New York and LA kind of switch off. Comics go back and forth. A lot of LA guys go that way, but like in New York, you can get up as many times you want. You know what I'm saying, and get up there and just pound out jokes and pound out sets, and you get a nasty fucking set. You know, and that's why that's why some of the nastier guys are coming out of New York.
When did you? Oh, let me backtrack a little bit. How did you get involved with Last Comic Standing? How did the idea even get sparked?
Man, well, I mean, Last Comic Standing was obviously, in terms of what it did for comedy, especially the first 2 seasons, it was such a big deal. And I remember the first year I just wasn't ready. I didn't even think to compete. You know, I didn't even know where to even audition. That's how out of it I was. But the second year I was living in Miami, and I already felt like I was there with some great guys down there. Still some ton of funny dudes down there. But, you know, we all went up, competed. Flip Schultz was in that joint. You know what I'm saying? Malik was in that first year. Yeah, vets were in that. And we were like young dudes at the time. I didn't realize that must have been like 2004. You know what I'm saying? Like a young Al Jackson was in that bitch. You know what I'm saying? Like there's like a lot of funny dudes from South Florida. And it's weird to like hear cats call like somebody like Malik a vet, you know, or like Ramon or, you know, Dexter Angry. But all those guys, you know, we were all down there competing. I got a little bit of love. But actually, Malik went through the first time I did Last Comic. And the second time I lost to a girl who had never done comedy before. So that was good.
Let me ask you a question. What was the longest...
fairly judged.
What was the longest stretch you've ever been on the road? Without a break.
I mean, honestly, you know, I can answer that. I'm going to answer it the opposite way. I was telling a friend of mine the other day that I would probably say in the last... I'm going to go on the record as saying... In the last 6 years, I haven't spent more than 30 days in one city ever. I haven't been in one city for 30 days in a row.
That's a good problem to have.
6 and 7. Like I'm trying to think about times that I was sick. When I ruptured my Achilles tendon, I was on the road the next week. I was in Vegas, like right after that in an air cast.
Well, give us a story when you've been sick on stage. That's always a big fear comics have.
It is, man, and I think about that all the time. I'm like, how is that not? Because I told, oh shit, let me tell you this. I told a story about taking a shit in my car almost. So this isn't a problem. What city was I in? I was in Indianapolis, like 3-4 weeks ago. And I was already not feeling good, and I was sleepy, and I had I didn't want to eat something crazy, so I just went and had some Asian food, and then like the guy like gave me some drink, and there was a Red Bull with it, so I drank that, and so I went and got dressed at the hotel. I'm driving, and I'm like, I remember Asian food and Red Bull makes me shit like crazy, and I'm in the whip going to the gig, and I had to shit so bad. I had to shit. I can't eat. Like, I had to pull over at a Ramada and sit there. And then the manager was like, what are you doing? I'm the headliner. The show starts at 8:30. 8:30, I am not in the building. I had a Ramada in the hood. Like, this is what it is, guys. And so, I got there. And, like literally Asian food, and I don't even get too much. Asian food, Red Bull. What else makes me shit? Like that curry and shit. And
I bet you felt great afterwards, though. Come on.
Well, no, because I was still having stomach cramps like a bitch. So, like, I got to the comedy club, and I was like, I told the MC, I was like, yo, you got to keep an eye on me because I might have to throw the mic up in the air like LeBron James. Do the clap like this, and it's over. Thank you. That was the end of that joint. So, like, I mean, I made it through it. And it's one of those things where I was like, do I get to the club and have, like, I usually have a vodka rocks before I go on stage. So I'm like, should I have that to be traditional and make sure my body's right? Or, like, should I just, like, because I don't know how that vodka was going to mix with that fucking Thai food and that other anger that was in there.
Well, on the theme of that, give us just one of the last times you just bombed. Just a miserable experience. You might not bomb, but just a bad stand-up performance.
Where do we start? Where did I go where people hated me? There's I bombed one time at they had these the comics comedy club in New York that just closed about 2 months ago. They had their urban show on every once a Tuesday every month, and I went up and like straight up, I knew it was gonna be bad. You know, that's not my demo. Not urban. It was just straight cast from like Brooklyn and the Bronx that wanted to see New York black comics.
They had razors in their mouth.
And I came out, and they were like, first of all, and the thing is, it really made me, this is why it was so bad for me, because there were like three other guys from The Wire in the audience, which I'm a fan of. And this is back when Guru was still alive. He was there, so one of the last things you saw him in his life was Al
So
Jackson
basically,
bomb.
you see like Cal Ripken Jr. in the
Yeah,
audience.
these are like all the cats that entertain me. So here's what happened. So I'm about to come out. They let the other comics out. So the MC goes back up, and then the MC, before he brings me up, he goes, "Yo, before we go any further, we got some some stars in the house, and so Bunny from The Wire, you here, and blah blah blah, from The Wire, you here," and people like clapping or whatever, and some drug dealing cat in the audience goes, "You fucking dick riding nigga," like I don't know. He's like, "All right," and so the MC goes, "Who the fuck said that? We gonna fucking do this shit right here," and I'm behind the curtain, ready to come out, like, okay, well, this is gonna be great. This should be, I'm glad the fucking crowd's ready. So some shit goes on in the showroom. And so the MC then just brings me up. He goes, "This next guy's from Cleveland, Ohio. Mic in the stand. Crowd done with me already. No credits, no nothing." So I come out, and they were just looking at me like, "You're done."
You were like the rodeo clown. They were the bull.
They literally were like, "We're not laughing." And I saw people, like, I was looking at dudes, and see, I was drunk. That's the thing that, like, honestly, like, and not drunk, like, oh, I can't. Like, I was out there, like, I had some drinks. Like, I don't give a fuck about y'all. Like, listen, I am an old school dude. I don't have no emotion. How about you go fuck yourself? If you guys are a shitty crowd, I'm going to let you know you guys suck. Give a fuck what you think about me. My shit works. You know what I'm saying? It's not a cocky thing. This shit works. So if you're going to be a dick and not pay attention, you see so many people that will just come out and it's just like, yo, I'm not saying you're going to think I'm the funniest cat. I'm not going to say you think I'm the worst guy, but you're going to have a decent time at the show. You know what I'm saying? It's Friday night. I hope you like the other comics more or less or whatever. I don't care. You know what I'm saying? I just want you to laugh a little bit. But there are people that come out to shows specifically not to laugh. There used to be a guy that used to come out to the old West Palm Beach Improv when I used to do a show. This weird looking bald headed dude. And he would come out and I would see him. He would come to at least 2 shows a week and he would sit and he would turn his chair 180 degrees. The way like the cool substitute teacher sits like that.
Oh, like AC Slater.
Yeah,
style.
the AC Slater joint. And he would always sit in the front row and he would just stare at you. Every joke. So like if you were the MC, you would see him twice a night. Like every weekend. Like this dude I don't know if he ever wanted somebody to say something about him, but he never heckled. He just sat there like, heard it,
He was prepared. He was prepared.
He's just a weird heckler, but some people go out just a bitch. And instead of, that's why you love to see the tables. People are like good drunk, come out, get drunk.
But which would you rather have? The AC Slater guy or a table full of, like a bachelorette party?
Nah, well,
They're both equally probably just as bad.
Because it's the same thing. I mean, AC Slater guy. I feel like at least with the AC Slater guy, you at least have a chance. If you have your best joke is gonna break him. You know what I'm saying? And I've seen people I do people sometime in the crowd. Like I'll look and I'll be like, that old black woman hasn't laughed one time. Like I'll look and I'll notice her and like I'll see him laugh or something. I'm like, I got you.
That's your barometer.
I won't even say anything, but I'm like, yeah, motherfucker, because you see people that are like this motherfucker. Because I'm gonna get it. I get it every single way. Where it's like, I feel like older white people look at me like, oh, he's gonna be vulgar, and then black people are like, oh, he's gonna be white, and it's like, so I get it from both. Where like people, that's what like every time I get to the mic, like no one's clapping. They're like, oh, I'm so used to feeling like everybody feels like I'm gonna bomb. You know what I'm saying? So like I felt like that the whole time. So like I did because I tour with Bill Bellamy, who pulls a lot of urban audiences, and like when you do places in the South like Louisville or whatever, or Nashville, like for the most part, like if you're a black comic, it's gonna be a black crowd in Louisville, even if they don't know who you are.
Just to support.
It doesn't matter what your act is, and so I had to learn. And coming up on Miami, it's white, Jewish, Cuban, and Haitian. You know what I'm saying? And then a ton of other ethnicities. And so I had to learn how to perform in front of everybody. Early. Like that's where I came up as a Miami Improv, which is the most diverse city, really, besides L.A. or maybe New York. You know what I'm saying? It's just crazy down there.
Well, tell everyone what you're working on now. What's in the works for Al?
Right now, what's going on, man? I'm about to start taping a show for Fox. I'm working on a late night spot, probably for one of these late night radio shows, or late night TV shows. But right now, man, I'm trying to get that 1 hour special ready to go. I got the half hour out there, and it's looking forward to the 1 hour, man. And
where's your home club? Like, where do you perform when you're just working on stuff?
When I'm just working on stuff, I usually be at the Miami Improv. That's where it all started. Like Biggie said, it was all a dream right there in that slanted hallway down there. So that Miami Improv is where it all went down. So that's where I ultimately want to film my 1 hour.
I appreciate the time, my friend.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. We just shook hands for those of y'all that couldn't see it.
Well, there you have it, folks. Episode number 4 is in the books. If you like what you heard from Al Jackson, be sure to check him out online, aljacksoncomedy.com. He's also on Facebook and Twitter. Google his name, and you see all the videos and some clips. Also, if you like any questions you want me to ask any of the future comics that show up on the Third Floor Chronicles, be sure to send an email to the Tampa Improv on Facebook or myself, Joe Riga. On behalf of Matthew Baldwin, my name's Joe Riga. Thanks for listening to the show.